Politico of Cebu's Panaghiusa Coalition. Several formulas have been submitted and by the Panaghiusa. Senator Tañada has also sent a letter to Member of Parliament Luis Villafuerte asking for copies of the procedure proposed by the National Unification Committee. I will read that later. The convener group announced that further suggestions or proposals from all interested opposition groups will be welcome. This should be submitted to any member of the convener group by January 14, if possible, to allow adequate time for study prior to the next meeting of the convener group and the potential standard bearers. The group agreed to schedule its next meeting for January 17. Minister Villafuerte. Dear Mr. Villafuerte, I enclose for your information and that of the members of the National Unification Committee, 1. The Declaration of Unity signed on December 26, 1984, and number 2. The agreement on the method of selecting the presidential and vice presidential candidates of the opposition in the event of a special election, signed on January 2, 1985. In paragraph 7 of the second agreement, the signatories are oriented groups and other organizations of concerned citizens as possible. End of quote. In compliance with the proposals that will be examined are from Member of Parliament Ramon Mitra, Panaghiusa, and Senator Ambrosio Padilla. The proposal could be that of your National Unification Committee. Unfortunately, the convener group does not have adequate information about the details of the NU.
This might sound repetitious, but may we know your personal views on two major questions: the dismantling of foreign bases in the Philippines and the legalization of the Communist Party of the Philippines.
The first one, the removal or dismantling of the foreign bases in the Philippines. I think we are declaring here a principle. We want more independence and more sovereignty. And therefore, it is our agreed principle that no foreign military base must be in the Philippines. Therefore, the existing foreign military bases in the Philippines will have to go someday, depending on the orderly agreements and withdrawal of the bases. So we're stating here a principle. It is good that the principals involved know about this so that they can plan for alternative sites. Number 2, the legalization of the Communist Party. I am in favor of the legalization of the Communist Party as any democratic government should be. In the United States, the Communist Party is legalized. In Japan, it is legalized. In countries in Western Europe, these parties are all legalized. I do not see any reason why in the Philippines they should be illegal. And therefore, I am therefore in favor of legalizing the Communist Party of the Philippines or any other ideology that would like to participate in parliamentary elections and contest the people's support. I am therefore in favor of this, whether they be communist, socialist, capitalist, or whatever. Yes.
Legalizing them without conditions. For example, they don't want to lay down the arms. Something like that.
Since I do not trust this government, I am therefore in favor of legalizing the Communist Party without their surrendering their arms. The reason for this is I believe the government should earn the trust of the people first, and therefore later on even these armed groups can later on cooperate with the government. The reason I'm trying to do this is I'm afraid of double crosses. If suddenly they lay down their arms and they are liquidated, then I think we did not decide well for these people. It is also my feeling that the Muslims who would like to participate in a parliamentary struggle keep their arms also and see to it that whatever promises or agreements made between the government and them are fulfilled before they lay down their arms. Who is holding arms, and therefore request for a truce for the new government to try to prove itself and earn the trust of all of the groups that have arms. once a truce is accepted by everybody, say for a period of 2 years, and the new government tries its best to live up to its commitments and promises, then it is very possible that continuous dialogue will result in all of these groups joining the mainstream. And in that respect, I believe they will lay down their arms voluntarily. Second, for practical purposes, I think it will be very difficult to, or next to impossible, to ask the groups to lay down their arms anyway. So that we would like to put them in a even or win situation. In Tagalog, this is called tabla panalo. If the new government that comes in does not fulfill its promises, then they can continue whatever they're doing now, and that is what I mean by tabla or even Stevens. If, however, the new government succeeds in earning their trust and together working for a better Philippines, then it's going to be victory for all concerned.
Have you already made some consultation on this party?
The communication lines are open. It doesn't mean that I am talking to the leaders, but I believe I'm talking to some of the representatives. And since I do not know exactly who the leaders are, I trust that some of the people I've been talking to communicate this to the leadership.
About the US base here, you said you are in favor of having them removed someday. Are you espousing the view of Congressman or they be removed after the people agree, after plebiscite?
I think as a last resort, if this becomes a very controversial item, we are stating here what we believe. It is up to the people to follow us or not. If the people put us in office, let's say, put the opposition in office, then I suppose it agrees with these basic principles that we have laid down. If they do not put us in office, it simply means that they probably want the bases retained.
Do you think that the Americans will want to give up their bases here, considering that the U.S. bases here are very strategic to U.S. interests worldwide?
I believe that the U.S. will do its best to retain the bases here. However, if we as a people have already declared a principle, then I think the Americans should respect that, so that we can negotiate for an orderly dismantling of these bases in the future. I have no doubts that the president, the first lady, wants to run for president, so that this is one of the, let us say, chances are possibilities. If she had her way, I am certain she will run. I also believe that there will be elections sooner than 87. I do not believe all the releases that elections will be held as scheduled by the Constitution. I think that ploy was intended to make the opposition be complacent about what it's doing today.
What are your indicators for saying so?
First of all, I do not believe what they say. I usually believe the contrary. Second, it seems they are preparing for their campaign, including Minister Mendoza's going back to Pampanga. I feel they're preparing their machinery for an earlier election. That is another indicator why I believe there will be elections soon, since there are no dissensions in the KBL. He's in office, he is the recognized leader, and they're prepared to follow him. So there is some sort. However, I also believe that Mr. Marcos would probably...
Will you accept the candidacy of Opp.Ldr for president?
I will abide by whatever the convener group or the selecting group that has been decided upon. Whatever the decision will be is what I will abide by.
Do you think it would be possible to harmonize the NUC with the convener group under the leadership of Senator Laurel?
I can see a lot of problems here because having seen the NUC report, it seems there are a lot of traditional politicians and former office bearers who are members of the NUC. I am certain that the cause-oriented groups would like a bigger say, if not an equal say, as the traditional politicians before. Maybe at this point, may I add that having put the fast-track system in place, we are now prepared to continue concentrating in our Parliament of the Streets. We don't like the Parliament of the Streets to be shelved. We precisely are using two avenues to cause changes in our country, the electoral process as well as the Parliament of the Streets. And therefore, having set the fast-track system in place, we will now concentrate again our efforts on the Parliament of the Streets.
What can you say about the fact that they declared their intention not to run?
I have first-hand information regarding both because I spoke to them while abroad. As far as former Secretary Salas is concerned, he said that those who were in the Philippines in the time of martial law and all of this struggle should be given first priority or first crack at the top two positions. He feels that he has been out of circulation for a long time, but he will continue supporting whoever the unified candidate will be. In other words, I feel that Secretary Salas is giving way to whoever has been here and continuously fought during the martial law regime and continuously fought the administration. He, however, is not getting out of the group, the convener group, potential standard bearer group, which right now are 12, is not getting out of that, and he is still supportive of the unification efforts. Now, as far as former Senator Manglapos is concerned, I think he feels the same. It's very similar. I think I am very encouraged by all of these remarks of our statesmen in trying to contribute to the unity efforts and are prepared to give way to those who have been struggling here all this time.
Stand bayan to uphold the majority report of the Agrava?
I hope so. I do not expect it, but I hope so. I think I respect the majority report. After all, they have studied this for more than 10 months in detail. And if they uphold the report of the Agrava Fact-Finding Board, the majority report, it is only consistent with what the majority report has found. I think if I will ever have any qualification for the presidency, it is to keep the country together. I will definitely contribute, whether I'm president or not, in the unification effort, not only of the different opposition, not only of the political parties, but all the warring camps in the Philippines. I am most interested in unifying all the armed groups in the Philippines and together come out with a credible and trustworthy government, and maybe all of us together can work for a better country. So I hope that clarifies about Secretary Salas, about the convener group as the potential parliamentarians is now well. We are expanding this. We are calling everybody who has a better plan to please come up and submit a proposal. We will then release this. We want this election process as practical as possible. We are moving in that direction. And if at any time in the process we feel ready, let's say 50% or more, our citizens have insisted, then I believe we can call it convention. So make it as democratic as possible. Last question. Yes. I the effort to unify the country cannot be as far as possible because these independent parties are trying to unify. But definitely a credible government